Hello and welcome back to the channel. Right now I'm going to be looking at Pentatonix's Havana, which is their cover of Rihanna's song from earlier, well, this decade. Well, maybe not this decade anymore, but from a little bit ago. Um, I'm not as familiar with Rihanna's song as, well, of course I'm older, so I'm not, but I have heard it a couple of times, so I recognized it. I'm very interested to see what they have to do with this particular song. It's pretty amazing. I have heard it a couple of times, and let's see how they break it down. So before they begin it, right away we have Mitch starting off with all the trills and the runs, sort of setting the upper registers of this. But the thing that I stopped this for actually had to do with Matt. If you're listening to that, he has a sort of roll off of a note, and sort of like he goes, doo, doo, except probably another octave lower. So, I mean, this part here, that again, he could have just very easily come in and done ooh and held a note. Yeah, that's not even a note, so my apologies for that. But he could have just hit any bass note that would have gone in the chord and just let it ride there. But by adding that little animation to the note, it keeps moving this forward. So it reinforces all the things that Kevin is doing. It's reinforcing all the things that Mitch is doing with the trills and the run, and it's reinforcing what Kirsten and Scott are doing with the harmonies that they're producing in this particular thing to create that entire intro. So I'm going to back up a little bit so you can hear that, and then we'll get into the chorus of the song, or the first verse.
Havana, ooh, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana, ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta, na, na, na. Oh, but my heart is in Havana. There's something about his manners, Havana, ooh, na, na.
He didn't walk up with that, how you doing?
Oh, when he came in,
He said there's a lot of girls I can do it.
oh, but I can't wait that
I'm doing forever in a minute.
So I know in the comments that I received over the past couple of reactions, I know that Pentatonix does a very specific way of designing their songs when they're doing I'm assuming to be their original songs, because again the melody is already there, the chords are already pre-built in a lot of ways on covers like this. But I'm very interested to see how they came up with, because the thing that makes them strong is their teamwork, their ability to negotiate where their place is in the song. And so right here, what the reason I paused it is when Scott stopped singing and Kirsten and Mitch took over that part there, there was a transition there. And the great part about this is that it could have been very easily just Scott doing the whole song, right? With Mitch doing his part and Kirsten doing her part and then everybody else doing theirs. But instead they switch off, and that adds a great variety to this song. And I really enjoy that sort of stuff because it keeps you on your toes. Like you have to listen for things, and all of a sudden the voice of the song changes, and it shifts perspective, and it's just really a great use of this particular of their voices, and they're just the arrangement is just amazing to me for that reason.
my heart is in Havana, ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta, na, na, na. Oh, but my heart is in Havana. There's something about his manners, Havana, ooh, na,
He
na.
didn't walk up with that, how you doing?
Oh, when he came in,
He said there's a lot of girls I can do it.
oh, but I can't wait that
I'm doing forever in a minute.
that summer night in
And Papa says he got my love in him. He got me feeling like, ooh.
So what I'm gathering from this song, and this is it's taken me a while to sort of get my my head around it in some ways, is I see a lot of baton handing. Like, if you're in a race and you're in a relay, you're handing off the batons to people. And so it's those transitions, musical transitions here from person to person to person in here that's so amazing, is that you go from Scott to Mitch and Kirsten to Mitch, and it's how everything moves around, and it's really wonderful. And then you also have Matt and Kevin making sure that all of this is orchestrated and keeps within the bounds. Because again, if the beatboxer starts getting off, or the bass gets off, and that tempo that's built by those two members, if that gets off, then the entire structure of the song begins to fail, and then the whole thing falls apart. So I'm going to begin it from here.
Got me feeling like ooh, and then I had to tell him I had to go. Oh na 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 na.
Havana, ooh, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana, ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta, na, na, na. Oh, but my heart is in Havana. My heart is in Havana, Havana, na, na.
We just graduated fresh on campus. Oh.
Again, these transitions, even though Scott is still involved in this, he goes from the solo to everybody else, and they just sort of take the baton, so to speak, the musical baton, and they build that. And the transition is really great because the harmonies that they were using all of a sudden shift. And I hope I can get back to find those. And it goes up and it does a different sound. So we know that a transition is happening. I mean, they're really good at helping the audience understand where they are in the song and where we are in the song also, because through these transitions and the way that they've arranged them, we know that we're moving from part to part to part, because a song isn't necessarily designed, at least from my hearing, in the standard old school 80s verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, out, right? That sort of thing. It's not designed like that. This requires a little bit more of a nuanced approach. Now, I could be wrong. I didn't hear it. Maybe there is, and I'm just completely missing it. But these transitions help us move from each component of this particular song and create that energy that's in it. Now, again, I can't remember Rihanna's version of the song too closely. I think I've heard it like 3 times in my entire lifetime. So if anybody knows the difference, please, fill in how this version differs from that one. I'm really loving this.
My heart is in Havana. My heart is in Havana, Havana, na, na.
We just graduated fresh on campus. Oh, he's fresh out East Atlanta with no manners. Yeah, bump on a bumper like a traffic jam. I was quick to pay that guy like Uncle Sam. Ooh.
I did like the tone of Mitch and Kirsten there, that really whiny nasal part. It was just awesome. I mean, there was a playfulness about that I really appreciate. So we're going to listen to that again because I really enjoy it. And yeah.
Bump on a bumper like a traffic jam. I was quick to pay that guy like Uncle Sam. Ooh, I knew it when I met him. I loved him when I left him. Got me feeling like ooh, and then I had to tell him I had to go. Oh na 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 na.
Havana, ooh, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana, ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta, na, na.
So again, as I was reading the comments over the past couple of performances, and I think I mentioned in Hallelujah that there was this jam session in a lot of their songs, and this here is sort of the jam session. So they transitioned into this jam session here, which is going to take us into the final part of the song. And again, this is where they shine, because they're telegraphing to the audience a knowing audience, what's going to happen. Because once they break into this particular jam session here with Scott in the lead, what ends up happening here is that the audience members are already sort of preparing for the song to come to a close, which is no different from a bridge in the old 1980s songs, where you have the bridge and then you know that you're going to lead back into the chorus and then you're going to lead into the outro. and so this is really good audience connection in my mind. Now again, I'm reading another scheme on top of this. I'm reading another sort of model on top of this. So again, I'm this is what I'm hearing and this is what I'm enjoying. So again, in the comments, if there's a different way of approaching this, please let me know. But I'm really enjoying how they're passing off the batons to each other to move from section to section of the song, and how they use this sort of jam session to signal to the audience that they're turning the corner, sort of crossing the bridge into the final chorus and into the end. And so let me continue. Let me go back to
Havana,
this.
ooh, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana, ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta. Oh, but my heart is in Havana. My heart is in Havana. Havana, Havana, ooh, na, na.
So this last part here, it has the same structure as the other parts of this, the other chorus parts of the song. I'll call it the chorus parts. But then you have Kevin come in with his trumpet, right? And again, we already know from the jam session, so to speak, the jam session led by Scott, that we're rounding the corner to the end. And so then when we get back to the section where Mitch is doing the high trills, we already know that we're going back into that sort of chorus section that's going to lead us to the end. And then we have Kevin doing that one last little trumpet thing, which is very Cuban in many ways. It's a very Latin sound, bringing this song to a close. And so again, it's these little nuances for me as maybe an older listener that I hear these things and I connect them to a whole bunch of other stuff. And for those of you who are really good at music history and music genres, you can feel all of this throughout this entire arrangement. And so in the comments, just tell me again, all the stuff that you saw in addition to this. And so I'm going to play that back a little bit, and then we're going to take it out.
Havana, ooh, na, na.
So again, like I said, what I learned from this particular song is, again, they work as a team. I never doubted that. I've been talking about that since I did Sound of Silence, is their ability to work as a team. Now, to what degree, I'm not really strong at understanding the writing process in that particular way. And I know that a couple of people in the comments have alluded to certain things that they do when they're writing songs. Now, this is a cover, so it has a different expectation. And this brings me to my second part. They work really well as a team, and they also understand how to bring an audience into a performance. And this is why they're still around 6 years later, and we are more than willing to listen to anything they put out. They decide to sing the phone book from Ypsilanti, Michigan. We're there because they planned it out. They know who's going to do what. They know what they're going to highlight. They know what they're going to pull back. They know what special effects they're going to bring in. They spend a lot of time in that planning section, and I love that. I A side note is that I used to teach freshman composition, how to write the research paper at a 2-year college in Minnesota, and I spent most of my time training students how to plan to write the paper, building all those things in, getting all your sources, taking all your notes. Well, before you even execute any bit of writing, you have to have all that stuff set up so that when you have your outline and you have all of that other stuff set up, all you have to do is take your information and build around the borrowed information that you took. So anyway, it's the same thing here. It's the same stuff here. They're doing Havana, so it has to have a Latin feel. It has to have just a campiness about it, not too much, but there has to be a little campiness of it because we assume that with it. Again, I'm going on and on and on, and I'm taking over this way too much than I want to. But audience expectations, they are really good at anticipating audience expectations and building upon them. And I'm going to leave that go right there. Please go back, timestamp anywhere in this particular performance that you want to talk about. If there are other things that I didn't bring up, because again, they are so multifaceted, I am never going to catch everything. And I don't want to research it because then I'll lose all my energy. If I know everything, then I'm a boring person. So please timestamp, find all the parts in this song, this performance that really interest you, start a conversation, use that comment section to build the community that we are and to bounce ideas off of each other and use the information that you know to help build a stronger community and help build the fan base that are the Pentaholics. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys enjoy your day, your night, your weekend, wherever you are in time, and that when all else fails, just always be safe.